In the last video, you might recall we were making drawings based on natural forms, ideas around the work of Barbara Hepworth. These things are based on little pebbles, and here I have some Play-Doh. Now if you don't have Play-Doh, that's fine. You might have some blue tack or something that you can manipulate in a plastic way like this at home. You can make salt dough if you have an adult around to help you. So if you notice, I'm making a shape that's not dissimilar to one of these forms that I've previously drawn, using primitive tools like a pencil. You can pierce it. The hole looks quite nice from the front, but from the back there's a big burr, so we need to work that into the design. You can make this quite thin. You could explore the possibility of changing the shape. Look how the hole changes shape as I begin to squash it. You might open it up and make it the ratio of the hole wider in relation to the material around it. You might have quite a thin section. Now Hepworth, as we know, sometimes use strings and wires like musical instruments coming across, so you could explore, if you wanted to, alternative materials. So I'm creating something that's inspired by her work but isn't exactly like it. I will continue to work and smooth the surface, or look at some of her work where she imprints into the surface and puts some texture into it. Now that's one material you can use. If you don't have something that's plastic, here we have some tin foil. So you can take the tin foil and you can scrunch it up and create a shape. Now you might say it's not got the smooth finish of the work of Hepworth, but you can make it quite small, pack it together, and then with the back of a spoon or your pencil, you see how I'm beginning to burnish it. So it's not going to have the same surface qualities as a Hepworth, but you begin to see something where it's beginning to be quite packed. You can also make shapes that are pierced, and taking a section and bending it and creating a form. Now you can think about this, you can make multiple sections and stack them together, explore the possibility. If you had something like a little skewer, a cocktail stick, you can work around a stick in the centre of it, and if you imagine there's your stick and you kind of build sections onto it, it would look a little bit like a sort of barbecue kebab, but you can see the possibility there. You might want to create quite a flat piece at the bottom so it would stand up and it wouldn't topple over. Now here I have a toilet roll I've cut a panel out of, and I've got an old coffee box. So with this, what I could do is I can shape it into a slightly different form. So I'm going to shape it into quite a different form. It's a bit like a colon, and then I'm going to put it on my box and I'm going to just draw around it. So I'm just drawing around that shape. So it's a bit wonky, my drawing, but it will do. Go over the line so I can see what I'm about to do. Now I'm going to cut the excess off, and using the heel of the scissor, remember I cut from the heel, and cut some nice smooth lines. Obviously if you wanted a more angular shape you could do, you don't have to do it as smooth as this. It's inspired by Hepworth and natural forms, but you can freestyle a little bit. So now I've got this panel I want to pop in the end here. I've pre-cut little tabs of masking tape and just stuck them to the edge of my desk. If you don't have masking tape's good because you can paint over it, but you could use sellotape. Sellotape doesn't act so well in terms of drawing over it with different materials, but if you had acrylic paint you could later paint over it. But we're not asking you to resolve these and completely take them to an end point. We want you to explore materials and ideas to see what you create. You see how I'm joining these sections together. If there's a little bit excess, because obviously I didn't measure it particularly accurately, using the heel again, I can just come in close, cut a little bit off. So you can see the shape taking form. Now I've previously made some other bits. One's a completely open section, one's got a hole in it, and here it doesn't stand up particularly well on its base. Haven't really thought its design through, but if I attach another piece to it, maybe I could get it to stand up. Maybe I could have it like a reclining piece. Maybe I could pop this in at the bottom here, and again all I would do is get my masking tape and join my sections together. Obviously the more pieces I put down the more secure it's going to be, so I'm working around it. I have a feeling in a minute this one might now stand up. I've thought a little bit more about the structure and having a slightly larger base. So now, yep, I can get that to stand up. It stood on the desk in front of me. So you begin to see the possibilities. Now you have to be creative here, and you have to see what you've got to hand. So here I've got an egg box. If you look at the interesting structure within the egg box, there's plenty of potential there. So maybe we'll trip down to your recycle bin and see what's knocking around. If you're really struggling, you don't have any materials that you can really work with, you might have odd bits of card or coloured paper, just do a collage. So here I'm taking a shape, a little bit like the ones we've done before. I've cut a section out. I might do another single section. Now, if you remember on the previous one, I cut a hole into a section. If you don't have a craft knife, that's absolutely fine. So I can just cut that section. And then I want to put a hole in the middle of it. I'm just going to fold it in half. Doesn't matter that it's got a fold in it. This is a working model. It's called a maquette. So I've cut out a hole and like an overlay hole. And we pop that down. Maybe glue that down there. Maybe pop this on top here. And maybe make a little stack. You could use different materials, or envelopes, whatever you find. You might then draw into it and build the contours and things onto it. You could still put strings across. You might have a needle and thread and you might put strings across even though it is a flat structure. So all we're looking for is you to explore the possibilities with the materials you have at home and create some kind of abstract sculptures. It might be more like junk modelling. You might be using yogurt pots, bottle lids. Let's see where we get to. Right, so at the end of all this, I have a very messy desk, and I'm going to take a piece of white paper. I'm just going to stick it with a little bit of my tape to the wall. And this is going to be my studio. So I'm going to take my favourite model, or you could take all your models, pop it on the white piece of paper, and then I'm going to get the camera in position and I will take a photograph just as it is now. I could take photographs from different angles. So I've got a record of this work because I'm not planning to completely resolve it. I might take a photograph from a sketchbook of the materials I've used, truth to material. I could do this with a series of my little models that I've made and see if I can balance them. If you do have the opportunity to have somebody with you that's got a strong phone torch, look at that one, it's not very well structured. You've got a strong light on it, and you can shine a very strong light on it. You can see how those shadows are developing behind the work. So that would be a nice feature if you could do that. Little groups and arrangements of things look quite good, but just explore the possibilities and record your work through photography.